everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to get into the full collection from Makeup by Mario. This just launched at Sephora and I actually went in the store and bought one of everything in his collection. He did launch several brushes and I bought two of the brushes that he launched. So this is going to be a very detailed review. I have been playing with these products for 2 days now and I have a lot to say about them. And to save time, because like I said, I've been filming this for 2 days, so I know there's a lot of footage. So just to save time in the intro, I'm not going to go through each one of the products and kind of tell you all the details about it and how much it is. Basically, I'm reading that information from Sephora anyway, and you guys can have that access if you go to the Sephora website. So we're going to go ahead and jump into the application portion of the video. And then once we get through the application portion of the video where I try on all of the products that are in the collection, I will get into some comparisons. Then I will jump into my final thoughts. And of course, as always, I will leave timestamps down here on the time bar and also in the description box down below, so you guys can jump ahead to the portion of the products that you're most interested in. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump straight into this video, you guys, because there's a lot of products here. I have been playing with so many of these products. I've created 2 different eyeshadow looks with the matte and the shimmer palettes. I've created 3 looks with the metallic palette. So I have really dove in and really played with these palettes, and I have a lot to say about everything in the collection, good and bad. So definitely hang tight till my final thoughts to find out how I truly feel about each one of the products in the collection. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump straight into the application, and I will see you guys all in my final thoughts. Okay, so let's jump into this product. This is the Master Secret Glow. It is kind of like a clear product. It is called Expensive. So I'm just gonna run my finger and it kind of feels like a balm is what it is. Now, I watched his Instagram video and he kind of alluded to the fact that it wouldn't be that tacky, but based on feeling it, it's tacky. I kind of feel like my hair might stick to it, and that's really gonna bug me. Tipping my head down, my hair is gonna touch like the sides of my face, and I feel like it will probably stick to it. So what I have on right now is a little bit of the Wayne Goss. I went ahead and applied this today. This is his Coral Rose, and I applied the blush and the highlighter from this palette. So let's go ahead and put this over top and see, like, this is what it looks like before. So his highlighters are just super soft and really beautiful on the skin. Let's go ahead and just kind of tap this in. I'm going to take a clean finger and go in and kind of rub it out. You can hear that it's tacky. Let me put it up against the microphone. It's tacky. That made somewhat of a difference. So I'm going to tip my head down and see if it sticking to my face. See how the hairs are going to stick to your face. So that's not really my favorite highlighter formula. I would only recommend that if you're like wearing your hair up. I just wouldn't, I don't know. I think it's a little expensive for the actual product. He did create 3 of these products. Master Crystal Reflector highlighters. Now these can be used for the face or the eye. Now these are very glittery and I do not like glittery highlights. So these will probably be a pass for me. However, I wanted to show you guys what it would look like maybe over top of a soft highlighter, because right now I am wearing a soft highlighter. So I have all 3 of the shades here. This one reminded me of this from Fenty. So this is the Diamond Bomb from Fenty. No, yeah, this is the Diamond Bomb in this shade, How Many Carats. This is beautiful because this is glittery, but when you put it over top of a highlighter, it's gorgeous because it's a very soft, finely milled glitter. So it doesn't look like, you know, anything just kind of exploded on your face. So this has been one of my all-time favorites. So I was kind of curious how this one from Makeup by Mario would compare to this one from Fenty. You got to tap off because this is a black brush and this is how much product picks up on that brush. Let's put it on this side. Oh, yeah, that's a lot. pretty. For being kind of more of a glitter formula, that is not a bad formula. It's not too glittery. It's not bad. It's actually pretty on the skin. It kind of gives you that reflective look without being too glittery. So I don't mind that formula. It actually looks really pretty, and that's coming from somebody that doesn't like a lot of glitter. Okay, so I just wiped my brush off. Let's go into Bronzite. By the way, this one was called Quartz. So again, quite a bit picks up on the brush, so be mindful of that. Let's go ahead and pop it over top. Woo! Woo! She's pigmented. It just looks like I put glitter all over my head. I wouldn't put these on the head. I'll take one for the team just to show you guys what it looks like. All right, I'm gonna wipe off the brush and let's go into the gold one. So this one is called Citrine. Again, quite a bit comes off on the brush. Tap off. Woo, shit skis. Okay, so go in very lightly with these, you all, because these are pigmented. So that's it for playing with the highlighters. Let's go ahead and jump into the eyes. Okay, so we're gonna first start with this product. This is called the Master Eye Prep and Set Eye Primer Kit. I got this in the shade medium. When he launched this, I was really interested because it gives you everything all in one. This might be a nice color to place on the lid and then use this up here on the brow bone to kind of highlight the brow bone. But down here is a powder. So I like how everything is all in one. I'm gonna go into the light shade right here and I'm just gonna carve my brows out. I'm gonna grab the dark shade, place this on the center of the lid. I like how there's two different colors that you can use. This feels like a very thin formula. It doesn't feel super thick and heavy. If you're used to concealer like I am, you know that concealer can be a little bit thicker. This is not thick. This feels very, very lightweight, and it does kind of even out, and I don't mind this. I don't mind this at all. So I'm gonna grab the powder, just go over top and kind of set this in place. So far, I really, really like this. I really do. Let's go ahead and move into the eyeshadows. I am excited to play with this new matte palette. This is called the Master Mattes, and they're just numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up to 12. It's made in the USA. So this matte palette seems like it'll go perfectly with the metallic palette. So this is called the Master Metallics. These metallic shades are made in Italy. So the mattes are made in the USA, metallics are made in Italy. We're gonna go in with this shade first and place it right here on the outer corner. Then I'm gonna grab this dark shade right here and go right over top of it. Okay, that was very easy to blend. No harsh lines. Everything is blending beautifully. Now I'm gonna grab this matte right here on the end, but still keeping it here on the outer corner. And I'm gonna grab this dark gray color right here and just place it right there on the lash line. I'm gonna go in to this first transition shade that I used, and I'm going to use that to kind of blend it out. Let's go in with the pencil. He created these pencils. Each pencil that I have gotten so far comes with a sharpener, and the nice thing about this is it's double-ended and it has a brush on the end. So that is going to be very, very convenient to apply your eyeliner and be able to blend it out, especially if you're wanting to like put it on and, you know, create a wing. You can really go in and kind of sharpen it up and really create that definition. The perfect brown is what it's called. Now I'm just going to take the brush and like pull it. Now this is going to be very convenient for those of you that are like me and have a hard time doing a wing, because I struggle doing wings. So I kind of want to play with like this shade and kind of see what this will look like. Grab the brush from the collection, the E5, and I am going to grab this shade right up here. Now I'm going to put this on dry first so we can kind of see what it'll look like. Okay, that shimmer shade is beautiful. Now I'm going to go into this shade with my finger. I'm going to place it right on top of the center of the lid. Ooh. Ooh, that shade is pretty. Want to see how this shimmer shade will blend into the crease. It's one of my favorite things to do. So I'm going to grab this shade right up here and I'm going to blend that up into the crease and kind of blend it right over the mats. So I'm going to first grab this shade, just placing it like right under here, lightly. I did tap off because I didn't want it to be too dark. So he also launched this, which is called the Brightening Pencil Light 1. I'm going to place this right on the lower lash line to really brighten up the eye. I'm going to grab this shade right here and I'm going to keep it right close to the lash line. And then I'm going to grab my flat tip definer brush and I'm going to go into that gray shade right here. And I'm just going to buff this into the outer corner. And I'm going to grab this shade right here. And then I'm going to take my finger and just like blend it. And then I'll probably place some like right here on the inner corner. Ooh, that shade is bright. Okay, so I went ahead and threw on a pair of lashes. This eyeshadow is very beautiful, very wearable, very everyday, very easy to create, and I think it turned out really pretty. So that's it for look number 1. Let's go ahead and jump into look number 2. I'm wondering what this would look like on the brow bone. So I'm going to take this shade right here, just kind of like place it right close to the brow bone, right close to the arch. And then I like to take my finger and kind of blend it out. And I'm going to grab this shade right here. You know what I really like about these mattes so far that I'm finding is that they're not overly pigmented. They're pigmented, but they're not too pigmented. And then you can still blend them out. And so like if you want it more pigmented, just don't tap off. But see, I like to tap off my brush and then go in with the pigment. I feel like I have a little bit better control with that. So I'm going to grab this shade right here. And then blend it up. I am going to grab this shade, but I'm going to use a smaller brush. And I want to grab this bronzy, like beautiful, beautiful shade. Just place it right there on the center of the lid. And I'm going to grab this shade right here, that bronzy shade, into the mattes. I'm going to do the exact same here on this other side. Okay, so I went ahead and threw on some concealer. Let's kind of buff some shadows into the lower lash line. So I'm just going to basically use the same shades that I did. I'm going to grab this shade. And then I'm going to grab this shade. I'm going to do the exact same thing that I did on the other side. I'm going to grab my flat tipped brush and I'm going to go into that shade. Tap this in right against the lash line. I'm going to take that gold and I'm going to put a tiny, tiny bit of that on the inner corner and just tap it right here. So I went ahead and threw on the rest of my makeup and finished up with some eyelashes. So that's it for this portion of the video. Let's go ahead and jump into me using this beautiful palette. I am so excited. So I will see you guys then. So let's jump into this palette. I'm really excited to play with this. And when I created my Buy or Browse video and I discussed this collection, I really didn't know what this was. This is a mixing liquid, and I had heard about a mixing liquid that you could use like to really intensify like Pat McGrath eyeshadows and stuff. So one of my subscribers had commented in the video and said it's pretty much like the Mehron formula. It's a mixing liquid, and I was like, oh my gosh. So I looked into the actual Mehron product, and I found it on Beauty Bay, and I just want to say it's much cheaper on Beauty Bay. So the Mehron mixing liquid is $9.50 on the Beauty Bay website. That is for 4.5 ounces. So this is not even a full ounce. This is a half ounce worth of product for $14. Basically, from what I'm seeing on the ingredients list, it's the exact same ingredients list. And to me, there's no differences between these two. We're actually going to use this one because I don't have the Mehron mixing liquid. Obviously, I didn't know anything about it. As he said, this has a little tray in it that you just pop out, and you can use this to kind of mix up your little magic potion. So this little spatula is designed to go in and kind of scrape some of the formula. Go in and just grab like this much. Then I'm going to add a couple of drops of this mixing liquid. I kind of have this kind of sitting down in this tray. Show you guys what it looks like over here dry without the mixing formula. So it's pretty metallic, even without the formula. I think these are probably best applied with a finger. Oh yeah, so if you go in with a finger, that really intensifies it. So let's go ahead and go into the liquid, and I'm gonna place this right here. Oh yeah. All right, so that is shimmery. I like that. So I'm going to grab the dry brush, and I'm going to go into that shade and just kind of sweep it up into the crease a little bit, just to kind of blend it out. I just wanted to show you guys that you can totally just blend this out, and it looks beautiful in the crease. I mean, it's pretty. I'm gonna grab this shade. I'm gonna bring a little bit of that darker matte and kind of blend that into this crease, kind of winging it out. So let's go into the matte eyeliner. This is called the Master Matte's Liquid Eyeliner in Super Black. Now, I watched his Instagram videos, and I watched the video where he was discussing this. Now, this is intended to give you 15 minutes of working time, meaning when you put it on, if you don't get it straight and you want to kind of manipulate it and kind of move it around, you have 15 minutes before it becomes completely waterproof and sets down. First, I'm going to grab the black eyeliner, and I'm going to bring this on the upper waterline. So yesterday I was saying that the brown eyeliner, what I liked about it is that it didn't transfer on my lower lash line. The black one does. As you can see, the black one definitely does. So keep that in mind. Let's move into the liquid liner. And I am the absolute worst at wings. I don't know how to do them. I've never really done them that much. I will wing out a pencil liner a little bit, but I struggle creating a wing, so don't judge. That's about as far as I'm going to go on a wing, you guys, because I suck at wings. And I'm going to grab this dark matte right here, and I'm going to smoke this into my lower lash line. Okay, let's go into the pink shade, and let's go into it dry first so we can see what it looks like. So I'm going to go into that pink shade with my finger. That shade is so pretty. And it's pretty on its own. Like, you don't necessarily need the mixing fluid to make this color work, but I do want to mix it because it's kind of fun. I'm not going to lie. This is what it looks like mixed in to the fluid. Place this on the lid. That color is beautiful. I wiped it off the brush. Now I'm going to go into the color dry and blend it into this outer corner. Okay, so I went ahead and finished the other eye. I grabbed the shimmer palette and I put this shade in the inner corner. That's it for all of the tutorials. Let's go ahead and jump into the swatches of me comparing this palette to some of the other palettes that I have in my collection, and then we will jump into my final thoughts. So I will see you guys then. Okay, so now that we've made it through all those tutorials and the swatches, let's jump into my final thoughts. I'm going to first start with the matte palette. To my surprise, this palette is nearly identical to the mattes in the large Scott Barnes palette. I was very surprised to see that all of these mattes, they're all the same. They're all the same. So if you have the Scott Barnes palette, you do not need this palette from Mario. Let me tell you the differences between the formula. First, this is made in America. The Scott Barnes palette is made in the PRC, which stands for the People's Republic of China. For those of you that didn't buy the Scott Barnes palette because it was made in the PRC, or maybe it was just too expensive, maybe it was too big, whatever the reason was, these mattes are pretty much identical in shade. The differences in the formula, what I like about these mattes is they're very buttery. When you swatch this palette, it reminds the texture of them and the buttery feeling of them reminds me of a Natasha Denona matte or a Pat McGrath matte or a Charlotte Tilbury matte. However, they're not as pigmented as the Charlotte Tilbury, Pat McGrath, and Natasha Denona. These melt beautifully, but they're more of a buildable formula. They're not super pigmented. I think it's decent. It's not the best thing I've ever used, but it's decent. I think the shades work really well. I think this matte palette is nice, but I don't know that it's necessary. I don't know that this is necessarily something that you need in your collection. I think it's going to be based on an individual thing. I don't mind the white packaging because with the white packaging, I'm able to really truly see the colors for what they are. But that's my thoughts on the mattes. I don't think that that palette is fully necessary in your collection. If you're looking for those type of shades, I don't think you'll be disappointed in it. I think it's a decent palette. Let's move on to the shimmers. Now, I have really played with this palette. Off camera, this morning, I was just kind of playing around just to kind of really play with these. And I was playing around with this like olive green and, you know, kind of just playing with them, putting them on the eye. The thing that I'm noticing is they are starting to get a little hard panned, and that's just from swatching. Like you can see that shade. So keep that in mind. They are such a smooth and like buttery formula that this formula can get a little bit hard panned. So if you're having an experience with hard pan, just take a piece of tape and lift it and it will lift right off. However, even though it's hard pan, I don't think you're going to have a problem with the wearability of these. The longevity of these worked really well for me. I wore them for several hours yesterday, and you know, the longevity is there. I think the pigmentation is there. I think these are really beautiful, but I don't necessarily think that you really need this because there's a lot of palettes out on the market that have these shades. You probably 9 times out of 10 have these shades in your collection. That's just me. I don't know. I think this is a really beautiful palette. I think the quality is there, but 9 times out of 10, you already have these in your collection. If you're just strictly wanting to know about the formula, I do think the formula on these is really pretty. I personally think the finger applies these the best. I feel like when you use a brush, it just kind of gives you a wash of color, but when you use the finger, it magically just applies. So if you're going to get this palette, I would fully 100% expect to use your finger. Let's move on to this palette, which is the Master Metals. I like this palette, but I don't think I'm going to be using this all that much. It's not all the time that I am going to want to use shades like these. In the swatches, I wanted just to compare this formula to some of the Pat McGrath formulas that I have in my collection. So I just put up an image of random colors that I found in my Pat McGrath palettes that were similar to this Master Metals palette. And what I'm finding is if you do have a lot of Pat McGrath in your collection, I don't know that you really need this palette. And let's be honest, I don't think that the everyday makeup wearer is really going to get a lot of use out of a palette like this. I think the formula is stunning. You can tell that there was a lot of time spent when creating a formula like this, and this was also created in Italy. The formula is there. It's kind of the same thing with the shimmer palette. The formula is there, but it just all depends on if it's absolutely something that you need. Keep that in mind, but the formula is great. I think I've pretty much covered, don't buy this. Buy the Mehron formula. Don't buy this. This is ridiculously overpriced. He's making a fortune off of this fluid. Fortune. Let's move on to the actual eyelid primer. I actually really like this. This is a nice eyelid primer. It's definitely not a concealer. I would not ever use this as a concealer. I think it's way too drying for a concealer, but I really like this as an eyelid primer, and I'm going to continue to wear it with other palettes and, you know, kind of update you guys, let you know how I like it with other palettes. But I like it because I've got 2 shades in one. So I've been using this shade to kind of go right up next to my brow bone and kind of highlight the brow bone. And then I use this in the crease and on the lid. And then I use the powder to set it. And what I like about the powder is it's not thick. It's a very, very thin powder. And I actually really like this eyelid primer. I think it's a nice formula because it's not as thick as a concealer. It's a very thin consistency, but it also has enough coverage to cover up the veins and you know, like the discoloration on the eyelids. So this is really great. This is one of the products that I'm probably, this is going to sound crazy. This and the next product I'm going to talk about is probably the thing that I'm most excited about. I really, really like this. This is really great. So let me talk about the eyeliners. I think the brown eyeliner is the one that I loved the most. I noticed with the black eyeliner, it does have a blue undertone. So it almost turns blue, especially if you're going to blend it out. See how it kind of has a blue base to it? Plus the black kind of leaked down on my lower lash line, but I didn't really have that experience with the brown. But I love the brush on the end. I think the brush is amazing. I really like having the convenience of having this little tiny brush to kind of help like wing things out or clean the area up or whatever it is. So I like that it's a double-ended brush, and I would say my 3. I also really like this brightening pencil. I like this on the lower lash line because like I have it on right now and you really can't tell, but it did brighten up the eye. It doesn't have like that super strong opacity where it's really white or really bright cream. This is just a very soft nude color, and it's really perfect for the lower lash line waterline to brighten up those eyes, but almost in a way where you can't tell that you're wearing it. So this is a very unique color. I have several in my collection. I've been trying to find that kind of perfect brightening pencil to do on the lower lash line, and this is a great option. I also like that his pencils come with sharpeners. That also makes it nice. But the liquid eyeliner, I don't know how I feel about it. I'm still kind of on the fence. I like that it gives you 15 minutes of drying time. You know, that is something that's really nice, especially for those that are like me, that are not that talented when it comes to doing wing liners. I like the fact that this gives you a nice option to give a nice clean line. So I really like this liner, but I don't know that it's like absolutely necessary. It depends on if you're still in the market to try to find your favorite eyeliner, but just keep in mind that this takes 15 minutes to fully set up. It's harder to get off though, so it does seem to be fairly decent as far as that goes when it comes to waterproof. I haven't obviously tested that, but it does seem like it's a little bit harder to get off. Okay, so let me get into highlighters. This is the thing that I'm noticing with this shade and only this shade, and I'm not sure why. So when I was swatching it, see how it's crumbling up on me? You can see that, right? Where it's super crumbly. You're not going to want to apply something that crumbly on the face. It'll be way too much. You want it to be a very soft wash of that highlight because it does have that glitter kind of texture to it. And it's just too crumbly. It's too crumbly of a formula. And so if I took a black brush and went down in there, look how much I'm gonna pick up because it's crumbling on me. So I don't love this color in particular. The sad thing is I actually really liked the way that this looked on my skin tone. And I don't know if it's just mine or what, but it was doing that before I even started swatching it. Now the shade Quartz, like I said in the tutorial, this one is very similar to the Diamond Bomb from Fenty. So if you have that one, you definitely don't need that one. This one is the Citrine. Now these two formulas are identical. See how this one is a little bit more of like a balm? It almost dense when you swatch it. This one is super crumbly. This one is more of that like bouncy, cushy type where the formula is really compacted, exactly like the Diamond Bombs from Fenty. I think Fenty has this kind of a gold one. So if you already have the ones from Fenty, I wouldn't bother with these. Fenty ones, you get 8 grams worth of product. These only have 3.5 grams. So the Fenty is a way better deal, and it's pretty much identical formulas. So if you guys were interested in the highlighters, I would just buy the ones from Fenty if it was me. This is probably my least favorite product out of everything in the collection. This is the like balm thing, the like it's literally like putting like chapstick on the cheek. It's not tacky anymore, I will say that. I've had it on for several hours now. I've been filming for so many hours. And it's not tacky anymore. I would say this stayed tacky on my skin for probably about an hour, maybe an hour and a half. And then it's finally kind of settled down into my skin. But this is something I will absolutely never use. It's just too tacky, too sticky, and I could totally achieve that by literally putting Vaseline on my cheek. I'm just saying. So those are my final thoughts on this collection. Sound off down below. Let us know how you guys are feeling about this collection. Have you bought anything from this collection? How are you feeling about it? Do you love it? Do you not like it? Let us know. Your guys' comments is so helpful. Thank you so much for hanging out with me in today's video. I hope that you guys all have a wonderful, wonderful weekend, and I will see you guys all in my next video. Love you. Bye.